colorful region lush with life and littered with spores. The caves painted in cyan and ruby red colors, with patches of grass covering both the roofs and the floors. The in-game description calls this area a subterranean rainforest housing its own little world full of unique flora. True to its company description, the region doesn't fail to produce increasingly strange plants. The biozone is seemingly located on the floating chunk of the planet. The rooms tend to extend vertically in what seem like multi-layered caves with various coral jutting out from many of its surfaces. Seen aimlessly flailing around are the coral tongues, which could be potentially collecting the floating spores. There's also glowing flora which seemingly serve very little purpose other than guiding creatures. Could speculate that the light these produce aids some of the plants found in this region, or perhaps they attract much smaller insects. Found in these caves are the ejector cacti, a very defensive cactus which periodically shoots spikes in various directions whenever approached by a mobile creature. Due to the rapid growth of these spikes, the cacti at times must expel them regardless of threats. A plainly named elevator plant features a strange, highly flexible stem with a yellow bulb and a large leaf at the end of it. Whenever its sensors or bulb touch a creature or the harsh swing of a pickaxe, it reacts by moving its stem to either a higher or a lower position. Even though it seemingly doesn't have any other features, this plant produces a horrid scream when dispatched. The purpose of this plant is the true mystery outside of its simplistic name. Some could speculate that it's a resting place for netocide breeders, especially since netocide shockers are prominent in this region. A much more unusual cactus found in the biozone, the trapacactus, a violent plant which stabs dwarves whenever they get near its purple core, seemingly doesn't recognize wildlife as a threat. The spike holes have a vast network of vines underneath, digging deep into the cave's surface. Exploding plants, often paired in very large groups, when triggered causes an explosive reaction which can quickly get out of control. These plants are perhaps the planet's violent way of ensuring that too much overgrowth doesn't take place, or a self-destructive way of protecting the flora from unseen creatures. A bioluminescent flower, glowlet, which only shows itself when approached by a creature or dwarf. Perhaps in doing so, it hopes to attach some of its own spores to mobile creatures? Spiky, hazardous cave urchins found on the floors tend to grow in size and pulsate whenever a dwarf comes into contact with it. Glyphid eggs can be found in this region, hinting at which areas the glyphids choose to procreate in. Unsurprisingly, silicate harvesters can also be found in the biozone. With a region so rich with flora, there's no wonder why they travel to these caves. Floating giant jellyfish-like creatures, such as the netocide cave cruiser, pose no threat unlike the majority of its family. They can be seen expelling various fumes and substances as it travels through the caves. These cruisers been thought to be food gatherers for the rest of its family members, and seem widely unaffected by a dwarf riding them. A reminder of the mystery of what once was, the fossilized xenoforms can also be discovered in this region. Some of the various corals found throughout the caves greatly resembles the ones found here in the Earth's seas. This may give the impression that the biozone was once filled to the brim with water. A lot of the flora we've just covered are fit for an alien ocean. Cave urchin could very well have been a sea urchin. What's left of the region could very well be the flora that managed to adapt to an oxygen-filled environment. Perhaps the region's specific heavy rain is enough to sustain these plants. Very simplistic and unimaginative names of some flora potentially hint at this region's early discovery by the company Deep Rock Galactic. It could be that these plants were first found and named by a dwarf in early expeditions of planet Hoxes. Perhaps one of the first regions discovered by the company? Regardless whether the biome was once a vast underground ocean or not, it has most definitely evolved into a truly alien rainforest. This will definitely get an A on my tier list.